Good evening and welcome to the April 9th meeting of the Board of Selectmen. If everybody would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and good evening. Welcome everyone. We have a couple of public hearings this evening and a fairly lengthy agenda, so we'll start right off with the public hearing to be held April 9th, beginning at 6 p.m. Hear public comment regarding the ATV ordinance. Proposed ordinance is available at the Waterboro town office or the website. There is a number of revisions, mostly through the legal counsel relative to some of the issues that address the Maine Revised Statute annotated and whatnot. Kind of some rewording on that, and there was a couple of things that were added, and I believe the copies that are on the table should have these edits in them.
Yes.
I think one of the concerns that was incorporated at the last, after the last meeting was which was item, I think 4, was it? No. Section 3, paragraph I, which was an ATV shall travel at, and we had a speed in there, but it's now says at a prudent speed which shall in no event exceed the posted speed limit. And that was a recommendation from our local warden that was here that evening, because the state law does say that they should travel at a prudent speed. So that was included. I think there was some additional language relative to the traveling on the paved portion of the public way. With some violation stuff that was changed. There is a fine of $250 if will be enforced if the ATV is not operated on the pavement on the public way as required according to section 3G of the ordinance. So there was some just refreshing of the language, but be that as it may, it is documented there. So we would open the floor to any public comment. David Benton is our Public Works Director. Step right up to the mic, sir.
You'll have to accept my apology. I've missed all the other public hearings on this and compensation. I personally am not sure that I'm ready for this to happen, but if it does, then I hope it's from the vote of the people. And secondly, who's going to enforce these rules? That's my biggest thought, because I've talked to a multiple of officers of the Sheriff's Department, and they're telling me that in most cases the only ones that can enforce most of these rules will be the 2 sheriffs that are assigned to it. And I just think that and the game wardens are very busy and few and far between, so I'm just concerned about that.
I think the answer is that anyone in the York County Sheriff's Department can enforce them.
So that will be in our...
Naturally, they're the two contract deputies would be whom we would look to first, but it is a town ordinance, and it can be enforced by the York County Sheriff's
It can
Office.
be enforced by any, then it is gonna be a town ordinance, you feel?
Well, that's what we're proposing.
Yep. Yep.
Anything
Okay.
else, David? Yes, sir. Step right up to the mic.
Hi, my name is Tyler Bronson. I'm with the Off-Road Vehicle Office in the state. I'd like to address your concerns with the enforcement. So say this ordinance does go through and they are designated ATV routes, then they would be a state trail, and with that comes the enforcement that we provide. So you would have the warden support, landowner relations support, and with the new proposed ATV definition law, and now an ATV will now be any two-wheel, three-wheel, four-wheel vehicle under 2,000 pounds and 65 inches. And with that, they're changing the enforcement rules. So immediately, any police officer, law enforcement agent would be able to cite that person for trespassing. So say someone's going off the road in places they're not supposed to, that would be able to be enforced. With the speed limits and safety, last year in Maine, we had 7 ATV fatalities. None of those were on public access routes. We had 4 fatalities on the state roads, mainly double yellow roads, where they don't have speed limits. In this proposed scenario, the access routes would have speed limits based on either on the road or what you decide. And with that, people follow those. Right now, you have people coming out onto the road going, wow, I need to get from point A to point B from Trailhead without any consideration for safety. They just want to get there without getting caught. People rip on by, but once you have the speed limit and access routes in place, you channel everyone from every road onto specific roads, and they actually follow the speed limits. Whether you have it on dirt roads, I've seen out in Leamington to right over here, over in southern Maine, you see 15 miles an hour, and ATVs go 15 miles an hour. So people tend to respect that. They want to keep the trails. It's a big community effort. And with that community's economic development, in 2016 there was an economic survey done for off-road vehicles, and ATVs brought in $22 billion to the U.S. economy. So divide that between 50 states, and Maine's looking at a pretty hefty chunk of that. And we have the largest trail network in the U.S. with over 4,000 miles. So we're a destination spot on the East Coast. People come from Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, New York, all over to ride our trails. And with that, they come through here, they go to Lakeside, they see the campground, and they go, oh, so next year, let's book a campsite over there. And they go to the campground, and then from there, now that you have the access routes, they can ride up to Leamington, check that area out. And from there, the rest of the state's their playground. So our office definitely supports this. Club has our support, and we're willing to, be where we need to be and help you guys out wherever. That's it.
Let me ask you a question. You said
Yeah.
with the new ATV laws, is there a new law on the, has it been passed, or is
No,
it?
it's just a legislative document right now.
Okay.
It's being proposed.
You know what the bill is?
I could email it to you.
That does what? I'm not,
It changes the definition of ATVs.
good.
To make it a little bit more strict and stringent. So it's kind of like this loosely defined, any off-road vehicle that can traverse land, water, amphibious. So the enforcement is right now, basically a landowner would have to specifically press charges for anyone before any law enforcement would be able to do anything. Whereas with this new law, law enforcement would be able to take it upon themselves further out.
Okay.
You have the LD number on that?
What's that?
You have the LD number?
No, I could email Dennis for it if you'd like.
Just send it to Gary. Gary can get it on.
Gary Lynch? Yep, correct.
Okay. Oh, he didn't ask for money. Anyone else? Sue?
Hi, everybody. Sue Dunlap, Deering Ridge Road. I am very excited to know that the possible economic value is more important than the value of our way of life on Deering Ridge Road. Those of us who lived through the trial 2 years ago, I think overwhelmingly told you guys what we thought about that. Unfortunately, the rest of the town decided that for 3 stretches of road that they would vote to approve this, which ended up being 3 stretches of town voted on by however many voters you had that time. Those people clearly were not part of that trial. So I've got a question for you. One is, if this doesn't work out well, what recourse do us taxpayers have that live on these roads? Is there any opportunity to either get this changed or get it re-voted on at some point in the future? What's our path as taxpayers to come to you with the issues that will arise because we already had them arise in the trial? That was a very unpleasant experience for those of us who live there.
There's a couple of processes. If it becomes a town ordinance, then the town ordinance certainly can come to this board with a request that the town ordinance be revisited, okay? If it's a re-vote, if you will, okay, of the municipality, then there's always the petition route that would say, you know, we, X amount of signatures, have raised a petition to put a vote back onto the warrant. And that would have to meet a certain hurdle, and I'm not quite sure without talking to Christine what the hurdle is now to get a petitioned warrant article or referendum article, because we don't have warrant articles anymore, it's all referendum voting. So it would have to go through that process.
So how would we bring the request for changes to you?
That would have to come through the board. We're the cognizant.
Right, what would the process be for that?
I think just a request that we reconsider or consider a change or whatever the case may be.
And would you have the ability to deny even the consideration of it?
I think that's the will of the board, okay, of whether or not we consider it or not. I mean, we would look at, certainly we'd take testimony either way, but then it's ultimately the decision of the Board of Selectmen.
I'm very concerned that 22 people on that road will be so greatly affected with no recourse, and a town that voted for something that does not affect them. This to me is absolutely incredible that this even passed. So it did. So now you have an ordinance in front of you that you're proposing. You've described to me the 2 possible paths, one for an amendment, one for, let's call it a repeal. I've noticed in one of the sections it talks about roads that are not, I think it's not public roads. C. 3C. And it talked about the operation on the left side of the way is prohibited during the hours from sunset and to sunrise. That made me wonder, all the rest, public road, Deering Ridge Road, McLucas Road, all of those 3 roads, can ATVs ride indiscriminately 24 hours a day in the middle of the night? And if anybody's familiar, and I know 2 of you guys are because you live on Deering Ridge Road, with that road, I am really surprised that there wouldn't be some kind of a prohibition for after dark, except for the special ride like the Halloween ride that they do. It just seems odd that there would be nothing in here to talk about that. And during that trial, those few months, there were thousands upon thousands of people over time that went by our houses. And I just can't even imagine that happening all summer and all fall after dark when we're trying to enjoy. I mean, we can't even enjoy our homes now in the day when this goes on. And now it's possible that it would be even at night. So I'd just like to ask the board to consider some kind of limitation so this doesn't happen late at night. Unless there's something here that I missed. I only see it addressed for the, when they're on the left side of the road under non-maintained roads.
Can I say something, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
That vote last year was just an advisory vote.
Okay.
Didn't mean anything. It's all going to be the selectmen and these public hearings, so
Okay,
They didn't vote anything in. They just gave an opinion.
all right, so that vote is an opinion only,
It was a non-binding vote.
non-binding. All right, so you guys have the ability to make choices. Obviously, you've picked 3 roads. And so, and I understand Todd and everybody else's desire to be able to connect the trails, because that particular landowner behind us has limited the use of it. But I urge you, please consider those of us who live in that stretch of road. It is not a good stretch, it's dangerous, you got the hill, you got the sharp curve that I live on, and the traffic was just unbearable during that process. It's noisy, it's dirty, and it goes on constantly. I don't think any of you guys would want to live in front of that, or in back of that. And maybe my taxes are not important, I pay $2,400 a year in taxes. Can estimate maybe everybody in my stretch pays about the same, and that doesn't compete with this gentleman's discussion on how much this brings in for the town, but for crying out loud, please consider those of us who have to live there. That is a more dense area, it is not safe, and I'm pleading with you to please reconsider. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
So, Sue, thank you for speaking. I guess in Sue's comments, she brought up the fact, and I guess during Ridge Road, to Sue and probably to a couple of the selectmen on the board, are a little bit closer to home than everybody else. We have currently, since our club's existence, have used the section of Ossipee Hill Road from what we're calling Cross Road to the intersection of McLucas Road. That has been used since the inception of the ATV Club. Gordon, I believe, was a selectman who lives on McLucas Road, who sees probably more of that traffic than anybody else in the room would. But that being said, there's not one person here from Ossipee Hill Road. And not to say that maybe some of them haven't been offended in the past, but I guess I just want to bring that up to the Board of Selectmen, that, you know, we have had this working on a smaller section of road. We did do this as a test bed, but the test bed became sort of a necessity because there was a lot of illegal activity that was happening on Deering Ridge Road. So from the beginning of May of that year until October, what you had running on Deering Ridge Road were just people who were not in the right to be able to do that. After October, we got permission from the town. We went out, we identified the fact that they needed to drive at a speed, they needed to be on the pavement. At the following, or at one of those public hearings after that, for the next ensuing year, the question was asked, did it get better? And the answer was yes.
Who did you ask that question to?
Asked that
You
question.
say that all the time.
I asked that question to Paula Koslick, who lives on the other end of the road, directly across from Sue. And once that went into place, the speeds that were being traveled on that road did improve.
Just that one person said there was an improvement.
It's one person. And not to say that when Roger and I, it was a request for Roger, our landowner relations guy, to go out and talk to all of the landowners on Deering Ridge Road, which we did, and we had probably a 50% reaction to that, right? So, you know, from our perspective, and again, you know, I mean, we're only trying to be the tool that helps alleviate a problem, right? So I guess that's all I wanted to bring up, is that we have been currently, for the 10 years we've been in existence, we've been using a road that has been perfectly fine. We haven't had any issues. People have been driving 15 miles an hour down the road. And during the time frame that we did have the Deering Ridge Road test trial, we ran it at 15 miles an hour. The ensuing year, the complaint was that the ATVs were going too slow.
So we changed the ordinance, changed the writing in the ordinance to say prudent speed. It was a recommendation out of the warden service. Prudent speed is what, it's sort of interpretive, but that is the way that the state law reads. We in the state of Maine do not have a set speed limit to ride on trails or even on roads. But they do have a law in there that says prudent speed. So it's up to the officer to determine what that prudent speed. If an ATV club designates that a certain area is an area of caution and that needs to be run at a slower speed, that is now considered to be the prudent speed. So that's what the warden service can enforce from that point on. As far as police officers, I'm not really sure, but I would think that, I don't want to think, I'm not sure. I guess that's all I have. We've had a couple of years of no use of trail system or no access route. The people that live on Deering Ridge Road, I'd ask, have in the past year, have you had ATVs riding on your road? I mean, is it something that's going on, right? So I guess ultimately that's where we're at here. And to some extent, I think that the townspeople at one point in time, and Tim, you served on this committee with me, the access routes was recommended to us. Let's get past the access routes were recommended. One of the major things that we did as a 2020 committee was to poll the population of the town of Waterboro and what they saw as assets in our community. One of those assets was the rural character of the town of Waterboro. We would like to have more trailheads. We would like to have more access to trails. That was something that's very well documented in the 2020 committee's documentation of the research that we did during that time frame. I think it took us 5 years to complete the project, but that documentation is there. And I think that we do owe it to the population that is in favor to at least try this. We only tried it for a 2-month period. The selectmen do have the right to revoke a road in any course and time, right? I think that you owe it a year. I mean, 2 months really wasn't as a good enough time frame to establish what the usage is on that road. I did just talk to Tyler and ask him if we can get cameras set up on the road, because I'm really curious to find out how many thousands of four-wheelers are going down Deering Ridge Road. I'm not saying there isn't 1,000, just be interested in to see what the real traffic count is. And I don't think a traffic counter would pick up ATVs. I don't think we're heavy enough. And I think that if we could place a camera on one of our trail systems that's going on and off from Deering Ridge Road, we can get a real accurate count of how many people are using it. Okay, Any questions? anybody else?
If there's nobody outside.
Okay, let me get through. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Gregory Lee. I live out in Lake Arrowhead. The ordinance we're proposing is to have access to roads that everyone else in the world is using now for automobiles, motorcycles, any other type of vehicle. And in fact, there's a lot of four-wheelers using it now, and the only ones that are using it now are illegal. Do we want to consider that illegal individuals, the people that are using the roads illegally, should be controlled by our club or by law enforcement? And if the road's being used illegally right now, it's a legal problem. The same as if motorcycles were using the road illegally, law enforcement would find the people that were doing it. And I'm sure that the same will be true if you accept this proposal. There's a right way and a wrong way to ride a four-wheeler. There's a right way and a wrong way to drive a car or to use a motorcycle. And what I've heard so far is that people that are using the road illegally are the ones that are causing most of the problems. That being said, people are going to be offended anytime you make a change to this type of an ordinance. I live in Lake Arrowhead. And when I first moved here 12 years ago, we had four-wheelers screaming up and down the main drag in Lake Arrowhead and all over the place, and it was a horror show. To the point where the officer that was in charge of the town, in charge of patrolling Lake Arrowhead, went to the board and explained to them that I can't enforce this, let's just legalize the thing and see what happens. You know what happened? Everyone's using the roads legally over there now. And people that use four-wheelers over there, if they see something going on, they'll go up and speak to the people that are doing it. I have spoke to several people myself and asked them to slow down, explaining that, hey, we just got permission to use these roads and we want to keep it up. I've seen no problem in Lake Arrowhead since that ordinance was passed. Nobody's speeding, afraid of being caught now. People are using the roads sensibly, and in fact, they can drive anywhere they want to drive, down to the beaches or whatever they want to do, without a problem. We're citizens too, and we pay taxes for the roads like everyone else does. And we have as much right to use the roads as anyone else does, legally. And that's all we're asking for. I think you'll find once the ATVs are allowed to use these roads and use them legally, and the residents that are in the area get used to it, things will settle down a bit. And we have officers that are patrolling those roads now that can take care of any problems that arise. I can understand this lady's problem. I had a problem myself in Lake Arrowhead before the ordinance was enforced. Now I have problems with motorcycles, which make a whole lot more noise than four-wheelers do. And I'm surprised that hasn't been brought up with the horse farms and that type of thing over there. But all we're asking is a fair shake. We pay the taxes too on the roads, and we'd like to be able to use them like everyone else does. Four-wheelers are registered, and they have headlights just like any other vehicle. It can be driven 24 hours a day. Most people don't use them beyond the sunset, especially out in the woods and that type of thing. But legally, they can be driven at night. If you want to limit the time, I don't think we'd have a problem with that. But I don't see the point to it. All I can say, it works out at Lake Arrowhead. It's been working there for, 3 or 4 years now. And I think the officer out there now will tell you that he doesn't have a problem either. So, I guess that's all I got to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else that hasn't said anything? So, do you want to get back? I'm sorry.
My name is Kate, and I actually live on the road, and I'm an ATV rider. And I want to thank the Waterboro Year ATV Club for the education that they do, and I think that's really the key. And then I enjoy riding the trail system, and I have an access to the trail without having to ride on the road. But I do believe that through education and through our law enforcement, we can make it successful and make it okay to do it. And through the education of really teaching the people to understand the pedestrians, the bicyclists, and the horseback riders, because we do have horses on the road, and that's really a big respectful thing that we have to really teach people to understand. But I think if we were to open up the road system, like Todd's talking about, I've been in Berlin, I've been up in Jackman, I've been in other places where it's just really, it really brings a different vibrancy to a town to have that open access. But the big thing is, educating the public to make sure that people can learn to be respectful and to punish those who are not. And like I said, we register, we pay taxes. Our registration fees go to that education, and we just maybe need to do a better job through the ATV clubs and the sheriff's department and through the town itself. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Sue?
I want to stress that I wasn't talking about just safety earlier. It's also the way of life. It is the noise and the dirt. And that one section that we did as a trial, that was in the off-season. We have yet to experience what this would be like in the full season with all the people from out of state and out of town trailering their vehicles in. And that's one of the things we talked about during this whole previous process, was how many people that don't live in this town come here and use those trails. And yeah, we all got rights, but we also pay, all of us, to drive on a road. We have to have insurance. No insurance is required in this case. That's not right. You should be just as culpable as anybody who drives a car. The other thing is, Todd, a survey can say anything. The person that you surveyed works for an ATV dealership. Right, Kate? Paula? So there's a vested interest there. There's a bias already. If you talk to 22 people, I don't think you're going to get everybody agreeing with me or everybody agreeing with the decision that's before the board. But when you survey one person and you get the answer you want, you can't call that a survey. It's not statistically sound. I would like to suggest, though, because Todd, I think that you had a good idea there. Is there some way to do a temporary 1-year ordinance? Do your trail cams, or whatever you want to call them. Let's get an idea of how this would really work. I'm pretty sure that we're not going to get used to it. Who said that we would get used to it? We did? I don't think we're going to get used to it. But maybe we can learn something from it, everybody. Maybe it won't be as bad as we are afraid of, because maybe statistically that was a year where there were more people out. I don't know. But is there a way to do that? I don't know what authority you guys would have to do that. A 1 year, let's call it, and come back next spring and figure out what worked and what didn't work, and just overhaul it if we have to. Or maybe a year will go by and nobody in any of these sections of roads or anywhere else in town will even have a problem with it. It's possible. And so I offer that as a thought that I could support, and I'm pretty sure that there will be other people in that section of road that could support that.
Okay, thank you. Paul?
Hi, my name's Roger Tinder. I do landowner relations. I do safety training courses for the ATV club. And to get back to Sue's statement about the dust, I think being on the road is the same amount of dust as the automobiles or motorcycles do. I mean, we're on the tar, we're not creating any dust. I mean, if you're living on Townhouse Road, you're getting some dust because you're on a trail or you're out on the trail. As far as that, I don't believe that would be an issue with the dust. They're supposed to be staying on the road, so I don't think that's a safety problem right there. And the prudent speed too, as Todd mentioned, is that road is 35. If an ATV is caught doing over 35 miles an hour, they're gonna get a ticket just like everybody else speeding. So that's what I'd like to add to that, okay?
Thanks, Linda. Yeah, I don't think the intent was, and we've always said that we would have to revisit this certainly on an annual basis to look at whether the roads has to be added, changed, or whatever. I think the club understands that this is certainly a dynamic situation where developments are gonna come in and alter current trail heads and everything else. So I think it was, we've talked about this since the inception is that we would annually review it to look at what happened and what kind of problems that we would surmise. And because right now I'm not sure that any of us have that answer, or how many people are going to use it. So. Yep.
It's to help address Sue's concerns. I wanted to go over some of our landowner relations grants. Our office does provide to every club landowner relation grant where the money is used just to address landowner concerns. And I hear that all the time. Hey, you built this new trail that not necessarily would go through my property, but we get a lot of dust from it. You know, it might be in a dry area. I've gone out and planted trees to create barriers. We've made small reroutes. And we also have a municipal grant program where we will reimburse a municipality up to 70% of a project's cost. That's been used in the past for widening the sides of roads, street cleaning, etc. And from a historical perspective, when you don't have these road access routes, you have small segmented parts of trails. So you're having everyone that trailers from out of state, everyone who lives here in the town, riding in this one small congested area and they can't get out. When you have someone trailer in from out of state, and now you have a connected route, they park, they drive past your house once, and then they're out and about everywhere else for the rest of the day. They're not flying back and forth all day, oh, where's the trail, where does it go this way? They're not going down roads they're not supposed to, they're all funneled on the trail they're supposed to be on, and then they just continue on their way. So just wanted to add that little perspective.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Yeah, go ahead.
Just want to add one quick other little piece here, is that obviously we're a club and there's other clubs in southern Maine. We stay very much in contact with those other clubs. Sanford ATV Club started last year and they were very interested in our ordinance, how it's written. Have talked to the Hollis Club. Most of the traffic that you have not been seeing on Deering Ridge Road has made their way down Deer Wander Road and heading to the Shell Station, that direction. So there has still been illegal activity, some on Deering Ridge Road, some on Deer Wander. Deer Wander is a 5-mile stretch of paved road that goes from the double pole line all the way down to essentially Townhouse Road, right? That road is being used, has been used all of last year. Not legally, but the Hollis Club is also interested in how this ordinance works so that they can try and get Deer Wander Road open. So there are a few things in the works. Tyler mentioned something about a municipal grant. We have been in contact with Brian and we will be applying for a municipal grant this year. So we'll be back again, or at least I'll be back to get your blessing on that. But that municipal grant to the town of Waterboro over the course of the 3 years that we had it, put in over $150,000 into our trail system in the area. So the municipal grant does work. The town of Waterboro has utilized it. I was unaware of the fact of being able to do things on the paved side of the road, but I think that's an interesting piece of that puzzle there as well. So food for thought.
Okay. Anything else? Joe?
I think that this is a really big thing for the town, and to consider. It's very takes a lot of courage for the folks that live on Townhouse Road. Seems to be the litmus test here, and the industry. I was just in New Hampshire, and there are more and more ATV type vehicles being used on roads. We can say, no, not here in Maine. We've done that in many cases. It didn't happen in it's not gonna, it's in Massachusetts. No, that's not gonna happen here in Maine. No. And then we get caught with our pants down. If we don't have this ordinance, then we don't try these things. Waterboro, this is gonna be a really interesting test. And like I say, it's got a lot of courage all the way around. The selectmen, the residents and everything. The litmus test on this is gonna be really an interesting thing. We're gonna be ahead of the curve. What I'm seeing, and I pick up publications and things, and just recently, ATV access on roads and, being registered on the highways has been just shot down. The industry will bring this again to the legislature, again next year, and the year after that, and the year after that, and we can say, not here in Maine. It'll never happen here. And if we don't deal with the situation and problem solve it and work it, we're problem solving this all together. And we have an opportunity here to really be ahead of the curve. To look at where they've used access in other areas
use them, that they've been successful, listen to the pros and cons there. We're on the cutting edge, folks, and we have the opportunity to set the bar as to what's coming at us. It's gonna happen. There are electric vehicles running down the roads, down on the seacoast, everywhere. There's like limousines running down the roads. It's happening everywhere. So sooner or later, that's gonna happen. What we're really looking at here in this particular Deering Ridge situation is inviting another type of motor vehicle to actually traverse in front of, let's say, my house. I don't want any more different motor vehicles riding in front of my house. I would go ahead and say, I don't want bicycles running down Deering Ridge Road. We'll go ahead. No, I just don't want them running by my house, I think. And blue cars, I don't want blue cars running down the road.
Okay, so you
No,
can
no,
do
no,
that.
no, this is how it's gonna get, you know? Sooner or later, somebody's gonna go ahead and slap a plate on an ATV, and the industry's gonna come up with something. You know, and it's disagreeable, okay?
Yep.
But we have an opportunity, we ought to embrace it, is
Okay.
what I'm saying.
Thank you, Jim. Anything else? I'm not sure, I thought in one of the first drafts, we had a clause in here that it would be reviewed annually. I don't see that anymore.
You can do that by charter.
No, I don't think you were saying
Pardon?
I'm sorry, I was,
Sometimes I see things that are a little off the cuff.
You can do that on any ordinance.
Right.
We can have that in.
Not a bad thing to have anyway.
If we were gonna amend it, typically the state guidelines are for opening of trails is May 15th.
Right.
So if we put a clause in there during the month of April to deal with it, that would give us plenty of time to plan on whatever we have to change or
I would
not
think we
change.
just add a section 7 that just says this ordinance shall be reviewed annually prior to trail openings or whatever the case may be, and that would at least give a set standard for the ATV club is bringing additional information or would taking additional information from.
You might wanna do March next year, because you might wanna have 2 public hearings next year if it does work out and you accept it. Then maybe we'd wanna have two more public hearings next year, so we can have some discussion then as well.
Is it May 15, November 15?
May 15th to 6 inches of snow.
Right, for snow.
For 6 inches or so.
Right. It could be February 1st, we don't know. Depends on the weather, right?
Okay.
You don't see too many people riding out there in February.
Anything else? If not, anything else from the board? No, we'll declare this public hearing closed.
It's 45.
Can I have some clarification?
Yeah.
So Sue, I think Sue and I both kind of agree that it wouldn't be a bad idea to put some cameras up and do that type of thing. If that's something that is of the wish of the Board of Selectmen, just make sure that you guys reach out to us and,
Well, I think it's certainly, we don't have to eat it. I think
no,
that's
it's,
something that, in a year from now, somebody needs to bring all that data to the table to say this is how many
okay.
per whatever, right? So
And when will the vote be taken?
we have it on the agenda for tonight.
If you change that, you need another public
Yeah,
hearing.
we will need to run another public hearing because we're gonna put a clause in there for an annual review. But that will be the only word changing. We'll get that approved by
So do that in 2
by
weeks.
council, and we'd bring it back in 2 weeks for a vote.
We're just getting closer to May 15th. that's
I
all.
understand.
We have to get signs up too and all that.
Yep.
State certified signs.
Which doesn't mean it has to happen before May 15th, just.
Okay,
I got a couple of things.
yeah, go ahead.
With regards to McLucas Road, which you mentioned, in stating that there's no problems, there's ATVs that go by my house 24/7. Sometimes, especially before Doug did some road adjustment work in front of my house, there used to be quite a dip there. And there were times when vehicles either going up or coming back down the mountain where they would be airborne there.
Was it a hip or a jump?
Huh?
Was it a hip or a jump? Yeah. It looked like a jump, that's all I'm saying.
It was a bit tempting.
Yeah.
So to say that there was no problems on that road, I think is a little bit of a misnomer.
Yeah.
By and large, though, haven't had, any issues. I've opened my land up in the back section there for the snowmobile trails, and even allowed them to build a bridge across the brook that's there. So, this is a very, very conflicted issue, because on the one hand, you want to promote economic development and recreational endeavors within the community, but at the same time, you have to measure that against the quality of life that Sue Dunlap mentions.
But at the same time, you also have that many people who live here that do recreate. Yeah, I mean, obviously from the last vote, we were 55 to 45, right? So we know there's a large population that lives in the town of Waterboro that enjoys recreating here and want to continue to recreate. So.
What I would suggest, Todd, then, that every road in this town be open so that every person who voted has to live that way. Or only the people who live on those roads get to vote, because a whole town voting about 3 roads is unfair because they are not affected by it. Open up every road, and I bet it doesn't pass.
That was Sue's idea. We just want to hear that.
Yeah. I suggested it, I said that the last time. Why don't we do more roads?
That's the way it was put out in the referendum, that it would, certain roads.
Anything else, Gordon?
Yeah, the other issue, for close to 40 years, I drove one of those blue cars, and I would still like to be able to go up and down here in Ridgewood.
No more blue cars, Gordon.
Huh?
No more blue cars. When you said, I got a question for you.
Sure.
24/7.
Okay, this is, we've closed this public hearing, okay? Okay, so Gordon had a couple of comments to make subsequent to the public hearing, so it's not a debate, okay?
Can I ask them something?
No, it's not a debate. So, Gordon, anything else that you have other than the blue car thing? No?
No, I kind of wanted to end on a note of levity.
All right.
I'll talk to you after the meeting.
It wasn't only ATVs that were going over that.
So we will reschedule, and certainly we would hope that we can get through the next hearing, because we're only going to add that one paragraph to it, so.
So the next date's the 23rd, is that right?
Yes. I think we don't have a choice.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll let the room clear here a bit, and then we're gonna go into a public hearing for the budget.
It's certainly clearing everybody out when you mention budget.
Okay. So, I would now declare that item 2 on the, or public hearing 2, or 2B, is now open for public input, and this is the annual budget for the town of Waterboro that ultimately will go to referendum on, remind me again?
June 11th.
June 11th. So I'm gonna, those of you that have picked up information out front here on the budget, I think Gary has a memo to the public, so why don't we go through that, Gary, and that's a start. And,
Line by line?
yeah, well, I think we'll, unless anybody's got a question or a comment, we can go through this fairly rapidly, I think, so.
If you wish to follow along, you need that big Excel document and one of these here. There's a stack of them there. I would say by the looks of the audience, everybody that has one, wants one, has one. We do have one budget committee member in attendance here.
Two.
Oh, I'm sorry, two, I beg your
One
pardon.
behind the camera.
You always forget he's back there.
Essentially, the municipal budget is up about 3%, $214,000, a little over that. And that is just the town side without education. And I create a memo similar to this one every year that is for the public to understand what's up and what's down in terms of the document. So starting out on page 1, we have proposed a 2.5% cost of living adjustment throughout just about every salary line in here. And the budget committee, we were a budget committee of 4 this year who worked very hard. They had another meeting last night to close out a few things that made changes that are in the document that you have here that's dated April 9th. It was finished up today. They met 10 times, including last night. I would go to page 3, under insurance benefits. Everybody knows that health insurance costs have gone up. A year and a half, almost 2 years ago, the town decided to invest in employee retention and employee benefits and met a family health insurance halfway. So when I added my wife to my policy a few years ago, cost about $10,000. Now essentially the town has met the employee halfway. So the town pays $5 and the employee pays $5 to add a spouse, if you will. That family coverage has been very much appreciated, and we have 5 or 6 people, I think, taking advantage of that now, using that in their family. Leases and debt service, which is on page 2. I was really going to use this memo, so I really don't have much else to say now. These are past purchases. But if you go to line 46, you will see the principal in there for the different things that we've purchased. A dump truck, an ambulance, a loader backhoe, the salt shed years ago, 2 cardiac monitors, the interest rates, the total purchase price, the principal and interest amounts are in there in lines 46 and 47.
Gary, you need to speak up. Those concerned taxpayers out there, and they can come up more.
Oh, very good.
Just barely hear you.
All right. Any questions on health insurance? Sometimes that generates questions from the public. Most of them left, so we'll keep moving on. Let's go to page 4. And selectmen are seriously thinking, and from everything we've seen, I think town hall looks to be open on Mondays, starting July 1st. And part of the reason is, no, I'm sorry. I gotta go
Page
to
3.
Page 3, town clerk. Bottom of page 3, I beg your pardon. If we're going to be open on Mondays, as it appears that we're going to do, Christine Torno needs another 8 hours of work because she will be here on Mondays. Sherry does not wish to work on Mondays, and that's fine. Sharon Reed, the tax collector, does not wish to work on Mondays, and that's fine too. We can be flexible like that. Sharon will cover some Mondays as necessary and be flexible in her schedule, and I know Sherry will too if the need arises. But we would have a cleaning service for about $10,000 a year, come in here 1 day a week and clean the building like what Pete does on 8 hours a day on Mondays and a couple hours on Tuesdays. You cannot clean this building when the public is in it. And if you doubt that, I'm gonna go get that vacuum cleaner that we all have to listen to that will just about take the roof off here that gets running here. The floor is wet, there are cords all over the place, he polishes the floors. That has to be done in the evenings or the weekends. So the only real jump in salary is with the town clerk on the bottom of page 3, and you'll see a jump on the salary line in line 71. It went from 35,000 and change to 43,200. That reflects another 8 hours of time. Page 4, the tax collector, I just made the comments about Sharon. In terms of work time, if you go to page 5, municipal buildings, to the bottom of page 5, the cleaning service is in there under line 134. You see that line, if you compare column E and F, in line 134, it went up $10,000 for a professional cleaning service. Pages 6 and 7 deal with code enforcement, the bottom of 6 and to the top of 7. And please know that that increase in the salary line in line 158 does not all go to the code officer. That is also for some additional hours of deputy CEOs. And we have 3 other neighboring towns, who have been authorized here to work for us when Glenn is off, or we need the additional help. We use Alfred's CEO quite often, between 5 and 10 hours a week now, to help out with inspections. Page 7, the library, to the bottom of the library, there's no new hours of operation there. Minimum wage increase, some additional staff time during our present operating hours is the majority of the $5,000 increase in line 192 in salary there. Going on to the next page, audio books are very popular. If you go to the page 8 in row or line 204, audio books can run you $40 to $60, I'm told. That was a good chunk of the $2,500 increase in line 204. Let's go to recreation on page 8, starting on the bottom of 8 and over to 9. A significant increase here. The first one is line 223. That is to take the present administrative assistant, Lisa Tudor, from her present 25 hours a week to 40 hours a week with benefits. That's not all of that, but that's most of that increase there. And on line 242 on page 9, some automatic defibrillators were suggested for town hall. We proposed 2, Matt and I proposed 2 in our budgets, and the budget committee said, how about 1 each for the next 2 years? Selectmen agreed with that. So you see line 242 went from 5,000 down to 2,500 in the completed budget you have before you. School Funergy, our before and after school program. Line 248, under program expenses, had a $5,000 jump. There's going to be an additional summer camp. There's also some Funergy improvements. They want to replace some mats over there and some other things that kids do wear out. That was the reason for the increase there. I'm not looking up as much as I should, so if there's a question, please just holler out. David, can you hear me now? Page 9 and 10, Planning Board. Bottom of page 9, over onto page 10. We now pay Planning Board members $25 a meeting when they attend. And not all of them attend. We had $4,500 in there in the past. I knocked it down to $3,000, and that should be enough considering there's quite a few absences at the Planning Board. We don't have to pay that. We don't have to pay it, we don't need to raise it from the taxpayer. And Planning Department, on line 269 on page 10. We had a formal advertisement to hire a full-time town planner. We had interviews, and some selectmen participated in those interviews. There was one candidate that I thought was worth hiring. We could not come to an agreement on salary and hours. She lived about an hour away. I think that was part of it. But it just didn't work out. So what we've done now is we have a very experienced planner from Southern Maine Planning and Development Commission. He's here every Wednesday. He's in the building whether he has an appointment or not. He just doesn't sit here and play with his phone. He actually does work for us on ordinances, on variety of comp plan things, on our TIF maps, tax increments, finance district. He actually works on projects here. If he doesn't have work to be done here, he does not come here and sit and do nothing. He and I have that understanding, and I do trust him. He's very fast at what he does. When he tackles it, that's a 25-cent fine.
I thought.
Public safety, on page 11 over to page 12. That kept the budget a little over 1.5% increase overall. There are a considerable number of things in the capital improvement section for the fire department. And we'll talk about those when we get there. No new positions in this operations budget. The total shown on line 299. Happy to take any questions if there are any. Transfer station, page 13, toward the bottom third, called Health and Sanitation, starting line 369. There was a $1 an hour wage adjustment. Our manager down there was out. He got hurt on the job for quite a while. The staff really ponied up and volunteered for extra time. I appreciated that very much. We needed that to happen. We did a 1 hour wage adjustment to all those folks down there. Clint also would like to send some of the staff to more DEP classes for training, which I think is a good idea. Vehicle maintenance on our older skid steer and backhoe at line 390 on page 14. We're over on page 14 now. Our equipment down there is old and Band-Aided together, but Band-Aided pretty well. I think we have companies that come and work for us to fix things and replace things when they break. And if there is an increase of, let's see, $6,000 for repairs and maintenance on line 390. We will get to buying a new trash truck to haul our trash containers when we get to the capital improvement section. That in part is a reason you'll see several reductions. If you look, go to line 395 and look under the column E, the one that's tan colored, and you'll see the selectmen recommendation is $293,895. Go over to my column under column C, and mine is $352,000. Well, what we've done is we've taken in excess of $55,000 out of here because we're going to buy our own truck and haul our own trash. We went out to bid, and our $77,000 trash hauling contract doubled to $150,000. And everybody, I think, thinks it's time that we get into this and do it ourselves with our own staff. There is another full-time person in the budget we're about to talk about after this in Public Works. That person will have a CDL, and some, if not a good deal of their time, will be spent hauling our waste and recycling to ecomaine and the other vendors where it ends up. We need to replace the oil collection shed and the tanks down there at the transfer station, and line 411 at the top of page 15 shows $5,000 for that. Department of Public Works, page 15, starting on line 416. Another huge budget, even larger than the fire department, especially now that we have a $500,000 plowing contract. There is one new position, like I said, and that person would be doing things for the transfer station and Public Works. It's going to be a mixture. Certainly it needs to be an experienced and talented driver and probably an equipment operator as well. We have one candidate that we've been speaking with, and perhaps some others will be involved in interviewing for that. Sand and salt, looks like if you go down to line 430 on page 15, 430, we finally stopped listening to the town administrator and started listening to the Public Works director on how to budget for sand and salt, and it looks like this year we're going to be pretty good, right at $175,000. We had about $28,000 left over, I think, in the last report, and we'll probably put that in the salt shed over the next few months and spend that money and get ready for next winter. That was bumped up to $190,000. Transfer station hours are not going to change. And I guess the only other thing I'd say, I guess I don't have anything else to say for Public Works. Oh, and plowing in line 451. When we get down to capital improvements, we'll talk about a snow blower. If we buy that snow blower, it would probably be housed in and around South Station in South Waterboro, and it would go out to West Road to blow the 4/10 of a mile. We now pay $10,000 to a vendor to blow that sidewalk. So if the CIP budget section passes as is, there'll be a $10,000 or thereabouts reduction in the plowing budget because we won't be paying somebody to do that for us. General assistance, at the bottom of page 16, on line 461, you'll see it went down about $15,000. An improved economy, some selected residents moving out of town that no longer require our services. Rent is a big cost for general assistance. And we went from $40,000 down to $30,000 in rent payments. So that was a bulk of that decrease there, and that's a good thing. Since we're on the page here, the education budget is up significantly, and that will be the bulk of any upcoming tax increase. It's up, I think it was about 6.7%. Went from 8.5 million to 9.1 million. School board, the school department have control over that. We and the Board of Selectmen do not, so we're reporting that as their estimate so far. That's what Waterboro's portion is of the $42 million school budget. Capital improvement, top of page 18, down into 19. A lot going on here. In line 501, it shows you the trash truck that we are proposing that we buy. It's about $175,000 price tag. That's outfitted and ready to haul containers, and we estimated it $40,000, or not to exceed $40,000 for 5 years with financing, and we think that's enough money. Line 502 is a wheeled skid steer with a snowblower. A tracked vehicle is more money. And over on that table right there, if you want, you can take some colored pictures of what we're proposing. I think there's 5 or 6 brands in there. The selectmen decided that we could reduce this initial proposal of $72,000 to buy a much larger tractor down to a smaller skid steer. So you see that amount there is $50,000. Line 503, install a water main from elementary school to central station. This is a real challenge right now that we'll talk more when we get out of the budget public hearing here, because Route 5 is going to be paved, and we were told it was going to be paved in late summer, early fall. Now it's going to be paved starting May 20th or thereabouts. We won't be able to cut across the road for at least 5 years after that. So selectmen tonight, later in the meeting, are going to have a conversation of whether or not we can use monies in this fiscal year to make that happen. They have the authority in the last quarter of the year to move monies out of paving and upgrading roads budgets over to a project like this, if we decide to do it. So that's $120,000. We would only need $100 to get it up over onto the fire station, and then we would stop until after July 1st. Kevlar bulletproof vests for the fire department and EMS personnel. That is a sad thing to even think about, but I think it's important that we start going that way. These are not vests that one will wear all day long. If you're going to a domestic call, a suicide call, the people responding would have those vests available to them to put on before they arrive on site. We're proposing to buy 10 this year and 10 next year. Line 505, we need to replace an air pack fit test machine. That's pretty standard. We're going to pay cash for that and not finance it for $10,500. The single cab, 4-wheel drive, 10-year-old pickup truck at the fire station. I'm sorry? 12 years? Yes, 12 years old, beg your pardon. That's why it's rusting through twice then, in terms of the body work. We'd like to replace that with a crew cab so you could fit 3 more bodies in it rather than just the one that you probably could get in there now, could haul more gear. This thing is not going to plow snow. It's going to be there to haul gear and people. That truck is used heavily for all manners of errands and responses to calls today. A couple things crossed out because they were in last year's budget. And we go down to line 513, remodeling a bathroom in Central Station. We funded that at 0 because we were doing so much else that was more important. So maybe that will come back again next year. HVAC in line 514 on page 19. We'll have a conversation about that later tonight too. A year ago we budgeted $150,000 for a new insulated roof on Central Station. We're paying less than $120,000 for that job. So the conversation tonight will be whether or not to take $35,000 of those monies and actually do this HVAC job this year before June 30th. So more to come in that later tonight. Sidewalks, on line 517, we have over I think it's 2.4 miles of sidewalks in South Waterboro alone, both sides of the road. And right now we're proposing at least a start of $20,000. We would be digging up those sidewalks with town equipment, laying down gravel as needed, and doing all the prep work for the paving company, so that $20,000 would go a lot farther than if somebody was coming in and doing all that work. Star Hill Road on line 518 needs a lot of work. This $75,000 includes no paving. The paving is back in the hot top budget in Public Works. If you go up there, you'll see some monster old maple trees that need to come down, stumps need to be removed, some ditching done, and a great deal of work to get that ready to be paved. Unclassified, we still have 2 contract deputies here in line 522, a total of $190,000. That's been sufficient to take care of that line. Our taxes went down slightly because we finished our 5th year of paying for the change in the fiscal year for the county. Going over on the last page here, there were a couple of new requests for communities, etc. The Life Flight Foundation was not funded this year. The Budget Committee thought they get sufficient revenues from their insurance hauls. So that was the reason that they did not fund those, and the Selectmen agreed with that. And then down on Old Home Days on line 553, and even $25,000 for Old Home Days, which hopefully is enough. Depends on the price of the band that they get there, I guess. So, bottom line down at the bottom, we've gone from $15,029,000 to $15,791,000 in 1 year, with about $560,000 of that increase in education. Any questions?
Yeah, I'd just like to, I guess for the purpose of being on the record here, that the municipal budget is up $214,000. 20% of that, which is not a lot, but about 10% of that, about $20,000, allows us to open the 5th day here, so that I think for $20,000, the taxpayers of Waterboro would love to see the town office open 5 days a week instead of 4. So the rest of it is, as Gary had mentioned, is some of it's in capital, some of it's everywhere else. But for us to keep the municipal budget down in the 3% range is becoming somewhat of a challenge, given the kinds of issues that we have in infrastructure here that have got to be replaced and whatnot. Unfortunately, we can always cut the municipal budget in anticipation of the school budget going up, but all that does is put us further behind. And I think that we made this decision a few years ago to do what we got to do on the municipal level, and let the chips fall as they may with what the school increase is. But when you look at us running a municipality and plowing 60 some odd miles of road and maintaining 60 some odd miles of road and running a staff here and a fire department and everything else for a $214,000 increase, with the school going up at $574,000. So anyway, we'd love to see it not increase, but I think that's beyond where we are. So, comments? Anything? If not, we'll declare this meeting, public hearing, closed. And we'll move on to the agenda. What I'd like to do, only because he's been very, very patient sitting here, is recommend that we move item 10E, the dam control manager. I'd like to move that up to, so we can talk about that now, if I can get a motion to do that.
So moved. Seconded.
All those in favor? Okay, thank you. So let's talk about 10E. Mr. Holden, you don't want to take care of the dam anymore?
It's a damn good job, Dawn.
I'm good.
You've done a remarkable job. I think back in the in the nineties when this whole thing, got flipped over and Don took on the thing. I think he's done an excellent job of anticipating the highs and the lows and everything else here. It's not as simple these days of just going up and on October 15th and opening the gates and closing them on whatever, ice out or whatever. So we've had some discussion. I think that certainly there's an opportunity to appoint someone else to take that activity over. We tossed it around a little bit of whether or not the Public Works Department should do that, and I'm not talking about David doing it, I'm talking about his staff doing something, but, so I don't think we've reached a resolution on what we're gonna do, other than we agree that, we agree with Don that he probably, it's time for him to retire, so.
I don't agree with that at all. I
Well,
think he should stay another decade.
I think that's a damn shame, but
I wanted more time to go out golfing with you.
Yeah, there you go. And the gentleman with you here is someone that's interested in,
This is Chris Broussard.
okay,
He is a member of the Lake Association. He's also retired. Family has lived on the lake. He lives on the lake. His family's lived on the lake as long as I can remember. And he is interested in doing the job and showing a lot of enthusiasm about doing it. So if you look all the way back to the policy that was put together back in 1996, we put together, me, you, and Bob Fay, and Dale Whitman, put together a policy whereby the lake level would be monitored by a member of the Lake Association and a member of the Board of Selectmen, which you took on that task back then, and you're still that person. So when...
but I was gone for 10 years, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I could get
Right.
reappointed.
I had you covered though. I knew you were coming back. So when I decided to do this, I looked at the policy, contacted the president of the Lake Association, Mike Kaplis, told him what I was doing. And let's see what happened after that. So then I got a hold of Chris Broussard, and he continued to show interest, and I thought it was my duty to bring that name forward because that's what it states in the policy. And that policy has been changed, amended over the years. And just recently, in 2017, there was an ordinance that was written which encompassed our policies, so they still stand. So I think it is the right direction to go, that Chris is willing to do this. And I don't know that, a lot of people understand what goes on to the dam, but I'm willing to work with Chris, show him the technique that I use, and it just takes a few years of trying to understand what the water table actually is, what the saturation point of the ground is, what storms we've had in the past, what storms are coming. And what I do is, if there's ground saturation, the weatherman's saying we got 3 inches of rain coming in York County, I'll go up 24 hours or 36 hours before that storm gets here, and I open the gates. And because of what I've done, I know how much to open those gates. The water starts going out, the storm moves in, I go up 3 or 4 times after the storm, and I creep the gates back up. And throughout the whole process, the lake level never changed. So it is a process, and I'll go up to the lake. There's been some years I've gone up to the lake as many as 75 times. There's other years I've gone up as many times it's 30 times. On average, probably 40, 45 times a year. I've done that for 25 years. So, to think that you're gonna have, say, the road commissioner do that activity, I mean, he's got more than he can handle.
Well, I'm not suggesting that he do it, but certainly we have now a staff, but I did forget that it was a policy now, an ordinance that does suggest that a lake association member be involved. And I guess I did not recall that being in there, but you refreshed my memory, so.
Talking with Mike Taplitz, he said that he would be very, very much in favor to keeping it the way it is. So they feel they have representation and some input to what's happening on the lake.
So what's your pleasure, guys?
Would you like to know a little bit about me, or just gonna believe him?
Well, sometimes we believe him, but yeah, give us.
You play golf?
Okay, you play golf.
I'm Chris Broussard, and I am retired, and I probably look a little young to be retired. I was a full-time fireman for 25 years for the town of Algonquin, and I was deployed when after 9/11, and in the National Guard, and I was hurt doing that, so I'm a disabled veteran. That's why I can't do my fire department job anymore. The house that I live in, my grandfather built in 1950. We live right on the lake, and that kind of gives me a good feel of what is going on. And like Don had said, it's not just opening and closing it twice a year. You got to pay attention to the weather, so you got to have that kind of a little hobby too, because I'm sure if this changed a lot, the water level, you guys would really hear about it. But
That's what got us to where we were 25 years ago.
I'm not, I don't foresee myself going anywhere. I love the lake. I have the time and the interest, and I just wanted to tell you who I am a little bit, because I'm not sure everybody knows who I am. My grandmother was involved in the Lake Association for a very long time, and we just became members and kept being members because she said we had to.
Yeah, you don't want to go against what your grandparents.
Right.
Thank
See,
you.
what you have there is, you've got a relatively small dam, right, for a very large lake. So when you get a large influx of weather, of rain, it's not so much of the water that falls into the lake. You got a 4.5 square mile basin that is draining over the next 3 or 4 days. So that continues to come into that lake. And so the lake has a tendency to want to fluctuate. If you did nothing, the lake would fluctuate considerably. That's where we were 25 years ago, when some people referred to as some people that lived in the cove areas, the more shallow areas, would say the lake's too low. People on the main part of the lake are saying the lake's too high. The town hall was getting numerous phone calls in regards to that. And that's how I got involved in it, and Dennis got involved in it. Since then, there's been a number of changes. I think back when the new dam got put in, the gates got replaced in 2012.
Yep.
The new gates work very well. I go up and I grease them every year. New gates are working good. I have given Gary a list of things, maintenance things that need to be done up to the dam, especially the erosion problem that we have going down the right side. That's still not fixed. There's no signage up there anymore that says keep off the dam. I've seen some pretty crazy things going on up the dam in the middle of summertime. See kids standing up on top of the gate trying to jump in to the water. It's crazy. And when you think about the old gates, those were allowed to be picked up from the water.
Yep.
That was bad. The new gates, and even the old gates, I never ever took them down below 50%. Because completely down, when you got a full lake, there's tremendous current. So I never take them down below 50%. That's just a rule of my own. And I know how much water I can get out of the lake by doing that. And I know how early I have to open those gates up in order to get water out for incoming storm. There's also a check valve at the base of that. You remember, Dennis? There's a check valve, like almost 10 inches to a foot in diameter at the bottom of the dam. I don't use that too often unless we got a significant event and I can open up the gates. But that check valve, I have a wrench that's 5 feet long, T-wrench. I set down onto that check valve and I can crank that gate open. That will allow the lake to drop 1/4 of an inch a day. So it's not real significant, but in time of need, I have used it in the past.
Okay. Well, what's your thoughts, guys?
Personally, I think if we had an individual that lives on the lake and is interested in doing it and can work with Don, assuming he's not going anywhere,
Yep.
I think it'd be a pretty good idea to do that. And if Dave and his crew need to do anything, they can work on the issues that you just brought up, that you mentioned to Gary. And if need be, they can assist, you know, when something else comes up. If for whatever reason you're out of town, they can assist him. But I would assume that over the course of the time that you've done this, you've got a system, something in writing or something in your head that you can put in writing to pass on, so that things that have been going on for 25 years can continue and improve from there. So,
Ice out will take place in 1 or 2 days. And upon that happening, I'll be going up and bringing the gates up. I'll be taking Chris with me, and I will start the process if you decide to move in that direction. And I've told Chris that I'm only a phone call away. I'll hold on to the key for a period of time, and then I'll transition the keys over to Chris. And I can stop my activity. I originally told Gary I'd stop my activity at the end of May. Then I went back, I sent you another letter saying I'd take it to the last of June, which is the physical year. Take it that far. It doesn't matter. I give you the key right now.
We'll have to double your pay then.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I agree with Ted. Excuse me.
Well, if someone wants to make a motion, we'll move forward.
I'll make a motion that we approve Mr. Bravad, is it? Facade? Okay. That's the new damn guy.
Okay. Do I have a second to that?
a second.
All those in favor? All right.
4-0.
And we'll work with the two of you to work things out.
Thank you both.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'll bring a card with my information for you, so you know who I am tomorrow.
Okay.
There is paperwork that he needs to fill out for that position also, Gary.
Well, we'll have a conversation as to whether or not this is going to graduate to a small stipend. So.
Now that you're leaving.
Yeah, now that you're leaving, we might.
Makes no difference.
Thank you.
All right.
We have to give the first one to him, so.
I'm still waiting for that cup of coffee, Dennis.
Well, I told you, anytime.
And David, I hope we haven't offended you by not allowing this to drop into your lap.
No, we've worked with Don over the years, so.
He's pretty happy right now, even though he's not showing it.
All right.
I'll talk to you.
I'm gonna, any announcements from the board?
Yes, I got something here. I just want to bring up that the Waterboro Community Garden has plots available for the 2019 season. The raised beds are 4 feet by 24 feet. They provide water, soil, and compost here on the site, which is just out back of the town hall here. If you'd like to apply or want more information, the application can be found on the town webpage, and there's also application packets available here at the town hall.
Okay. Anything else? We have no appointments, no public comment. Correspondence, treasurer's report, motor vehicle reports, ecomaine recycling reports. Anything from any of the board, selectmen?
No, sir.
Okay, if not, Gary, anything?
Short and sweet, we have a quote for the trash truck that is just under 3% interest rate, just over 3% for the trash truck, I'm sorry. If you approve moving forward with that, as it looks like we will. Nomination papers are due back in for Selectmen, Water District, and School Board. They're due back by April 26th. We still have 3 sets of Selectmen papers that are out, only 1 back. And I believe we have 3 sets for Water District and only 1 back, and no School Board. 1 set of papers out for 2 School Board seats. We are going to have a candidates night on Wednesday, May 8th at 6 p.m. here in this room. And I would encourage the public to come and ask their own questions or submit them to me in writing, and we'll give them to Bob Powers, who's running that meeting. And in a very quick fashion, since this is the start of another quarter, 75% of the fiscal year is behind us. Our total expense budget is at 74% expended, and our revenue budget is just under 75% collected, so we're pretty much spot on for the fiscal year so far. And the Budget Committee, as I said before, did meet last night. All 4 of them were there. They made short work of about 45 minutes of work to change some of the things in the budget we went over, largely to agree with the different information that you folks voted on recently. And that's it from me. Thank
All right. Okay, new business. Oh, new business.
I would make a motion to appoint Jason Warren to the Economic Development Commission.
Been moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to appoint Jason Warren to the Economic Development Committee. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Welcome aboard, Jason.
Thank you.
Up or down on that board?
Was that part of the executive session?
Yes.
I was absent for that, so I'm
3-0.
abstaining.
Thank you.
All right. Item B, discuss vote to accept the resignation of John Gale from the Garden Committee, Community Garden Committee. What's your pleasure there?
So moved.
Been moved. Do I have a second?
Second reluctantly.
Been moved and seconded to accept John Gale's resignation from the Community Garden Committee. He's still going to be a participant and grow his garlic out there, so all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, I'll send John a note that we accept his resignation with regrets. Presentation of results of fire department high-back bids. It's something you can go over in 5 minutes?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Selectmen have the results of the bids here. I actually have the actual bids, if you want to see them later. We received 5 bids. They varied from $64,745 down to just under $25,000. And the top 2 bids, just because they were so far out of our $35,000 limit, we kind of discarded them for the moment. We worked with the low bid Freedom Air. We found out that there needed to be some additional BTU capacity for the meeting room and a single head for the IT room upstairs. So there was an adjustment made to their bid of $24,821. They're just a little over $28,000, and that is my recommendation to hire those people to do this work. If you approve later in the evening tonight, the use of the up to $35,000 on the roof money for this.
And that is in the old business section here,
Yes.
so.
What's their record? Did we get a determination on that yet?
Their record?
Yeah, their business record.
Their references? I thought they looked pretty good.
And I reached out, they did some work for an elementary school up in Cornish. It was sold, and I talked to maintenance, that's not sure now. They had no issues with it. No effect with it. And he's done work for Spring Harbor, and I've got calls with them. But
the name of the company?
Freedom Air. Sorry. Ted, it's Freedom Air. They're located out of Biddeford. He actually came on site multiple times with the electrician. They seemed very vested in wanting to move forward with the project, to work with us. It is a relatively new company. He worked for Johnson Controls. Johnson Controls, if I'm saying it correctly.
Yeah, Johnson Control.
Johnson Controls, okay. I worked for them for many years, but he was helpful with educating us and giving us the data that we needed. And he presented that, obviously, document there that you see.
Okay.
The Dakin brand of units that they priced out were also prevalent in two of the other bidders here. So Mitsubishi and Fujitsu are not the only ones out there that have decent units from what we want.
Okay.
And the chief did work with another professional who did not bid in looking at this and adjusting the BTUs.
All right, so we'll talk about that later, all right? Presentations of results of the code enforcement storage.
Yep, that one also. We had 6 total bids. Only one was for everything to act as a general contractor. So my strong recommendation is to hire Milestone Masonry, who not only does masonry work, but will general GC the whole job here for $34,770. Everybody else there was a partial bid and didn't do everything, so they didn't sub everything else out. We got some pretty competitive prices just for the concrete, but this time of year, the code office and the code officer are extremely busy. I didn't want him working as the general contractor on this job. We need this to get this done, and done fairly quickly, because we're still all working in this building. And my recommendation is for Milestone Masonry for $34,770. That's in the budget now. There's no additional vote needed from you folks.
All right. Let's move on to item E, discuss vote to sign an agreement with the Maine DOT to allow overweight loads on municipal ways during the Route 5 paving projects. I would assume that's all of the projects from Hannaford all the way to the North Waterboro Bridge.
Yeah, they, in the letter that they sent Gary, it only uses transporting of construction equipment. Nothing is said about materials. So I'm not, it's kind of a iffy statement. But I think that they will bring the materials. The normal procedure for paving a road like that is to pave against traffic, so they'll go up on the left, they'll start at Hannaford and they'll go up the left side up to Townhouse and then go back.
Okay.
And that, I think, is when we might see them wanting to come around the old Alfred Road. Because at that point, they may want to come around with material.
I mean, there's no other road that they would be on, right? I mean, other than Old Alfred Road.
And I can tell you, after working my equipment for the state for 8 years, they will not be overloading those trucks of theirs. We weren't allowed to overload them.
Okay.
So they'll only be hauling, they might only haul 8 or 9 tons of hot top at a time, rather than 15.
But you know, this does allow you to require a bond if you want to have that bond for protection on damages to the road. That's the gist of the letter that you got in your packet.
Well, they own Old Alfred Road. We own the maintenance on Old Alfred Road.
Yeah, we paid through the nose to pay for it. They paid nothing.
Do we need to do video of that before they get on it?
We probably should.
Couldn't hurt. It's cheap.
Well, is any objection to us signing this? Do you have any objection to us signing this?
I do not.
What's your pleasure then?
I move that we sign, that we accept it.
Okay, been moved, do I have a second?
Second for discussion.
Okay, all right. Been moved and seconded, discussion. on this agreement.
Have we coordinated any of this with the school department? Because with the weather getting better, they, a lot of times they have kids out walking because they get down to the fire station or they'll go up to Friendship Park. And I just think it's a little hazardous to have, you know, a bunch of kids out there when you got these large trucks, you know, going by all day long. So we at least should coordinate that or bring them up to speed on what's going to be happening so that they can take that into consideration.
I would be very surprised if DOT responds to when school is in session, because they won't even let us, you know, the whole situation with the paving thing here, so we can ask, but they're gonna do this, no matter what the traffic is. It's very clear.
No, but I'm saying we ought to put the school on notice so that they can adjust their schedules.
Oh, I see.
So that
Okay.
they don't bring these kids out. I mean,
Because they normally do that from the end of May through the first part of June.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it wouldn't hurt for us to give a notice.
Yep.
David?
I went into Scarborough twice in the past week. The two guys that are in charge in there, Joe and Bill, they are up against it, guys. They really are, because they had scheduled this for September. And they got caught, just like we have with our water line, kind of short-handed. So they have started the preliminary meetings with the school, but they will do all that. They will go to both schools and get that all coordinated with traffic and let them know what the schedule is, because they're going to be working on that pavement while school is still in session.
All the school buses are gonna have to use Old Alfred Road too.
Yep, they should.
we ought to make a public announcement, I mean, in the paper, because as you know, in the morning, outside that elementary school, traffic there is an absolute nightmare with parents driving in and also in the afternoon when they're picking up kids. It's horrendous.
They have put that new road out to bid, by the way.
That was the other thing, if it had been this fall, that new cut-through over to Old Alfred Road might have been in by then. They plan on doing all of that work this summer.
It's already out to bid, so they're gonna have to hold up until the state is done out there too.
Yeah. We tried, gentlemen, we really did.
All the more reason to not do this in May, but that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what is your pleasure here? We're gonna sign this document.
So you had a motion to second, I don't think we voted.
All those in favor? Opposed?
4-0.
Discuss vote to approve a municipal quitclaim deed for map 1, lot 37T is in Tom.
Essentially, these people paid up their bill, I think they were 5 years in arrears, 4.
Okay,
Took 15 on, so no reason not to do this.
what's your motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Discuss some possible vote concerning Route 5 water line and MDOT paving problem.
I gave you the accounts, we do have the funds between upgrade roads, the hot top account, and one other there. And David and I were talking, we think $100,000 would allow us to get that line in, cross the road, and then stop once we get onto the fire station property. Our crew would probably be working, if it was Foglio we chose, and we can try and get other pricing here, but in my mind, this is a push. And for time and materials, and by the way, we would be buying the materials, so there wouldn't be a 10 or 15% increase there. The town would be buying them. We can possibly do this and be done by May 20th. We have to dig up the edge of Route 5, which will no longer be accessible because the new paving project would have a 2-foot paved shoulder on each side. So for at least 5 years and maybe more. And Dwayne called this afternoon and he thought the deadline for, or the time frame for not opening it up would be even longer than that. But anyway, DOT said no to them not paving this section and letting us do it. They don't want pug mill paving on both sides and then traditional paving in the middle. Don't ask me the engineering issue why, but David and I tried and they said no. So we think we can do this if you, by charter, want to authorize us to use existing funds in 2 or 3 accounts this year to make this happen before May 23rd paving starts.
Otherwise, we wait 5 years.
Very possibly.
So the water line is on the east side of Route 5, and we have to come over to the fire department side.
It's on the north side of Route 5.
When you drive up there, Ted, if you go from John Smith Way to the fence, which is the school property, there's a telephone pole that's halfway, and that's where we have to go to do the PUC regulation.
But the pipe, the 12-inch main
on the other end.
is on the north side of Route.
What's that?
Is on the northeast side of Route 5.
Yes.
Okay, so
It's on the
Why
most
did
populated
it come up
side,
that side of?
and that was done so that it would lessen the crossings of services.
Connections to the houses that are already there.
And plus, when it gets to this intersection out here, the only way we can go is either down Old Alfred or up Townhouse.
Yeah.
So we wanted it on this side, and so
Okay.
that's why we had it engineered that way.
All right.
Okay.
So we would come up on the northern side and then cut over about where that telephone pole is next to John Smith, and then essentially stubbing it off right out there in the bushes.
You said last week that you had to be halfway through the property?
Yeah, that is
Because
halfway.
where that telephone pole is that going to be an issue if we're on one side or the other of that?
No, we have to be on the school side of it. That's
Okay.
halfway.
Okay.
And we want to stay a good 8 or 10 feet away from the pole to begin with. It makes it a little bit less expensive to put the line in, because you don't have to have a power company come in and hold the pole while we're working around it.
Okay.
For us not to do it, it would negatively impact the school project, having that throughway through there as well, wouldn't it? Digging that up, because they're gonna pave a section of that, right?
Say that again, Wood?
They've already got the bid out to pave that throughway of at the school. If we don't do this water project now, we're gonna end up digging up their property after they've just paved it, right?
No.
Pipe's on the other side of the road, Gordon.
On the school property.
Yeah, the only thing that's stubbed over it's to that, it crosses the road into the elementary school, right?
No, it crosses into our property.
No, but today,
Oh, yeah.
as it exists,
To the hydrant and then
Right.
into the building.
so it goes to the hydrant and then into the building.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and the
So where
pipe-
that hydrant is where
The pipe is
the,
at least 20 feet beyond that T that went off into the school.
so
And
we're gonna
there's a
go on,
valve at the end of it.
right, so we're gonna go on the other side of the
Yeah.
road and we're gonna extend 700 feet, right?
No, it's 585 feet.
So you're gonna come up 585 feet and then come across the road?
Yeah.
Across the road.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll put a T on and then we'll add a section of pipe to the next extension to go from there, and
And we have no problem getting a road opening permit from the state for Route 5,
no, that's not a problem.
but we will after they pave it.
In fact, because of the size of the job, the street opening permit was only $307. And it was because of the low amount of money that it's costing to do that, so.
Okay.
All we have to have is an inspector.
All right, so we need to, I guess, determine whether or not we're gonna exercise our right under the charter to take existing funds from existing projects and put into this project, which is gonna affect this budget.
What line does it affect in this budget?
Well, it's the in the capital line, it's a capital, budget, what's 5,
Well, there's 2 ways to look at that. You can let that ride, and then a year from now, in the last quarter of next year, you're gonna be moving money. It's one way you can do it. You can move money in reverse, if you will. You're gonna take it now from the hot top line in Public Works or the upgrade roads line, CIP, and move it over to this.
503.
We have the funds, it's just a matter of, obviously, those projects won't be done this spring.
What's your pleasure, guys?
Without sounding crude, I think the state's got us right by the short hairs, and I think that we ought to exercise a prerogative in accordance with the charter and get that, transfer the funds and get that job done this year.
Soon.
For clarity for the folks back home, hot top account, as of last week, had a little over 100,000 available. Town roads had 23,000, and the upgrade roads account had 176,000 available. Obviously, we do a lot of road work in the spring. And a good part of that upgrade roads was Blueberry Hill.
Yeah,
Which-
no, with Blueberry.
Blueberry Road, I'm sorry, right.
Which is in terrible condition, so I.
It is.
But it's where we're robbing Peter to pay Paul, but.
Isn't that at the Alfred end?
Huh?
Let Alfred pay for it.
No, it's not, it's the section
So,
between
somebody
Ross Corner
wanna,
and.
somebody wanna make a motion to, and I don't care what we need to identify what account we're taking it out of. Whether it's the road improvements account, the hot top account, or something in between.
May I make a suggestion?
Yeah,
If you want to cap this at 100, you can take 50 out of hot top and 50 out of upgrade roads.
works for me.
I'll amend my motion to include those figures that
Okay.
the town administrator just
So the
mentioned.
motion is to, in accordance with charter, section, whatever it is. Give me that charter. Natalie's got the thing all spelled out here, right? But I can't remember. What section is it? Russ? Being able to move it.
It's gonna be the budget section. We didn't put Natalie's email in the packet? Okay.
No, I can't look at it right now because my
See if I can find it.
Come on.
Basically allows you in the last quarter of the year to move funds between accounts. And next year, we can move those funds back into the ones.
Yeah, but you gotta wait until the last quarter of the year to do that.
That's correct, yeah. So early April next year.
All right, section 908, which is all right, so 908, which is down to the, no, that's 908 is the crisis fund and undesignated fund, capital.
Somebody's 304.
Well, we look kind of stupid here, don't we? I can look it up in my email faster than I can look it up there.
I don't see where she cited a specific section, it just says, stated it is within
Yeah,
the
it's
charter's
within
powers
the charter.
granted to the selectmen.
budgeting is 9.
Yep, the first paragraph of 905.
Right, from the date of adoption of the budget, the several amounts stated herein is appropriated, blah, 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 within the last, second sentence of 905, within the last 3 months of the fiscal year, town administrator may transfer without board approval any unencumbered appropriations or portions thereof between general classification of expenditures within a department, okay? Office or agency not to exceed an amount to be determined by the board on an annual basis. Transfers in excess of that amount must be approved by the board. If any time during the fiscal year,
That's revenue.
is
That's not-
probable, blah, blah, blah.
That's not relevant.
All right, so in accordance with, was it 905?
905.
So Gordon's motion is in accordance with the authority for the charter of section 905. We would transfer $50,000 from the paving account, $50,000 from the upgrade roads account to this special project of extending the water line to the, and across Route 5 to the fire department property. Do we have a second to that?
I second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
4-0. Thank you. Full steam ahead.
All right, 10A, we've done, no, 10A, we're gonna defer to next meeting.
Public hearing 2 weeks from tonight.
Yeah, discuss possible vote regarding the proposed FY 19 and 20 budget. What do you need from us?
And the warrant, I might add.
So,
Which is complete in agreement with the budget.
so we need to approve, we don't have to sign, but we need to approve the annual budget and subsequently the municipal election warrant.
Which will need you to sign by sundown Thursday.
Right.
Please.
And then I guess we would approve it and sign it tonight. So if someone wants to make that motion,
Motion to approve.
okay? Do I have a second?
Excuse me, second it.
Okay? Motion approved and second, the budget proposal that has the selectmen's recommendations in it. In the annual municipal election warrant that will be voted on in referendum that is tied to the budget. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
4-0.
Motion carries.
I don't think the warrant is a finished document ready for signing tonight. It was,
No, but from the budgeting process, it's now approved, right?
you
You
can
can't, so you can change the warrant, you just can't change the dollar value in the warrant, right?
We'll take the draft watermark off and have it ready for your signature tomorrow and Thursday.
Okay. All right. Item C, discuss possible vote regarding unspent central station roof funds to be used for central station high-back improvements. We go back to the same section of the charter that allows us to, and this is within the same department, so the money's already there. It wasn't expended for the roof improvements, because we got such a great deal.
I thought we were gonna use that money for the room.
No. Room was budgeted all separately.
Room
Okay.
has its own funds.
So what's your pleasure here, guys?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to utilize unspent central station roof funds to be used for the upgrade to the central station high-back improvements
And that's this fiscal year.
in this fiscal year.
Can I ask whether or not that can be amended to say not to exceed 35,000?
Oh, sure.
Well, it's not my motion, I'm just,
Who did make the motion?
I did. I'll add that to my motion,
Okay.
not to
I'll
exceed
second the new one.
35,000.
Been moved and seconded to authorize the unspent central station roof funds not to exceed $35,000. Any other discussion? Sensing none, all those in favor, opposed?
4-0, thank you.
Let's defer the item D to the next meeting.
I have not heard back from Nancy specifically. I don't know if others have.
So, I don't think we're ready to appoint that board yet. Item 11, discuss the vote to approve the minutes of the March 26th regular meeting and the April 2nd special meeting.
So moved.
Been moved, may I have a second?
Second that?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Pending decisions, week action list, I think you're all set with that. Discussion of agenda items, anything you want to throw on it, onto agenda in 2 weeks?
I do have something to talk about. It's not this month, it's May 28th. We've been working for over a year on McLucas Road Extension legal status.
Yep.
And I think May 28th would be the time that we would have a comprehensive presentation and a look at where we're at on that road. And
so pencil it in
stay
for the
tuned.
May 28th.
Yeah.
Okay, if something comes up, let us know. The warrant, you're gonna get gussied up and have it ready for our signatures, right?
Yes.
You say that'll be ready tomorrow?
Minutes of, yeah, because there's certain individual.
So we drop by the office sometime tomorrow and sign the document?
Yeah, preferably after lunch.
Okay.
There's been a lot
Yeah.
going on here lately.
Minutes of the March 26th regular meeting, and a minute, we need to sign the MDOT construction area agreement and the municipal quick claim deed. Those are the 4 items to sign. Sensing that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make one comment before we
Yep.
adjourn. I see that there are 2 members of the Budget Committee here, plus Selectman Neal, I know, put in a lot of time. I think that they really should be commended for the due diligence and the amount of work that they put into this document. And it shows that they're both, I think, fiscally responsible, yet taking into account the needs of the town.
Yes.
I couldn't agree more, thank you.
Yes.
Anything else, folks?
Double their pay, too.
There we go.
So, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Good night.
8:05.
Irene.